Hey Gillian, how are you doing?
I'm doing great today.
Excellent. So welcome to the Marketing Study Lab podcast. And as always, well, actually not as always, because this is kind of a bit of a new start for me, because we're going to go through some actionable video marketing tips with your good self. But the thing that's going to remain for this is I love to start with a random opener. So my random opener for yourself, Gillian, is give me your best technical fact.
Okay, so I have to read this because I'm missing the math gene and I never remember stats, so I don't want to mess it up. So the average consumer's attention span is 8 seconds. And we've actually gone down. We used to have an attention span of, I believe, see, I told you I'm not very good at math, 12 seconds. And we've
Okay.
gone down from 12 in 2000, I think in the year 2000. We've gone down to 8. Now, a goldfish is 9, which means that we have the attention span of less than a goldfish. And we have to remember this for marketing because people scan and skim. So it'll come up later why this is important.
Fantastic, and I think the tagline that you actually utilize within your organization, your company, and all that will become more prevalent and important for that fact when we start to talk about that. So, excellent segue into what's your story that brings you to this stage in your career, and can you explain what you're actually up to right now?
Okay, so I am a marketing consultant. I'm with Launch4Life. It's a business that my sister and I run, so it's a small business. And it's remote, so it's crazy. My company is based in Las Vegas, United States. Right now I'm living in Haifa, Israel. I have clients all over the world, primarily mostly in England and the United States. Those are my two countries that I'm focusing on the most. So here's my story. So I began life, got a psychology degree, and then it was like, oh, what do you do with that? So
Yeah.
I got a job working at a public library, and I worked on what's called the telephone reference desk, where you're in a room with, this is like before Google, okay? So this is like way back in the day, and people would call into the library, and I sat in this room called telephone reference with a telephone, 6 lines. They would light up at 9 o'clock in the morning, and they would go till 9 o'clock at night, and I would have to answer every question under the sun that people would call about. Most of the time it was bar bets. People would call like who won the Oscar in 1934 and things like that. And I couldn't just give my opinion. I had to find a source. So I kind of was like the original Googler before Google existed, because I just learned to find things in a book. And I think this kind of started life for me, that you can learn anything, you can find out anything. So after a while, I moved on to a serious job. I became a computer trainer, then I became a technical writer, took some time off to have a family. And then when I was having my family, I actually homeschooled my kids.
Oh, cool.
And when I was homeschooling my kids, I also wanted to keep working. And so I became a freelance curriculum developer, where I actually started working for a charter school that my kids were doing online. And I started doing online courses. And my first course was a Lego robotics course. So you'll appreciate this with
Oh
the
yes,
Lego.
love it. We're going to get on.
And it was amazing because they said to me, hey, you got this incredible, training background. Can you make a course for Lego robotics? And I said, sure. And then I went, what was I thinking? Luckily I had a really smart kid. And so I gave him the Lego Mindstorm and said, okay, show me how to do this. And, being a technical writer, that's what you do. You basically take something very, very complicated and then you make it easy peasy. And that's exactly what I did. And I taught these kids and parents, because they did it together, how to actually put together a Lego robot, how to make them do stuff and all sorts of things. Then I went on to do a Google Ninja course, which was, of course, right up my alley, and so on and so on. So I did that for a couple of years. And then I decided to form a business with my sister. And we love working together. And we decided we would do something. She was in insurance, and we thought, okay, we'll take my training background, her insurance background, and we'll put it together, and we will do websites and social media marketing with insurance agents. And so we did this whole great thing. We made them websites and we taught them Facebook. Problem was, they didn't want to do it. They were just like in the old world and said, you know, we're kind of happy doing what we're doing. So we were like, okay, great, pivot. So we pivoted and said, we got all this social media, you know, background now, because we learned all sorts of stuff about Facebook pages. We'll make a course. So we made a course, made an online course. And the day after we launched, Facebook changed their whole look. And it was just like, this course is no longer relevant. The videos were wrong, everything was wrong, and it was so frustrating. And then I thought, okay, if you do, you know, courses and things like that, it has to be something that doesn't keep moving. You know, Facebook's like shoveling in a blizzard. It just keeps changing and changing. So just like, and then of course, organic page reach went down, and it was just like, okay, another pivot. So then we said, marketing's good, websites are good, websites don't change that much, let's build websites. So we built websites, taught people all the way to market it with opt-ins and, you know, PDFs and lead magnets and all that jazz. And clients were happy with the website, but the problem was, is they kept saying the same thing over and over again. Nobody sees my website. It's like crickets, tumbleweeds, you know, nothing is happening here. So then we said, maybe we got to learn this thing called SEO. And we thought, I'm sure we can learn it. We're bright. I've had this background where I've taught myself everything, you know, remember Lego Mindstorms and whatnot, learned SEO and decided SEO is horrible. It is like so complicated. It's the hardest part of marketing. And that's one of those things where I recommend to people, get a basic knowledge of SEO, but a lot of it you do need to go out, because once you get into SEO and the whole technical side of page speed and all that stuff, there's a lot to SEO. And then also too, we were helping people, you know, with Yoast and optimizing their blogs and keywords. And they were saying, okay, I'm doing everything, but it takes a long time. And that's the thing with SEO. It does take time. It's not a fast thing, and there's no guarantee. You can do everything right, and you're on page 2 of Google, which is like pretty much death. You know, you got to be on page 1 or nothing, right? And I kept saying to myself, there has to be an easier way, a quicker way to get marketing results. And at the same time, we love Zoom, use Zoom all the time. And we ran out of space on our computers for all these Zoom videos because they're huge. And we recorded every session we ever did, my sister and I, when we were working together and doing trainings and whatnot. So I said, I got to find somewhere to host all this stuff. And I was too cheap to go with like Vimeo or Wistia. So I thought, I'm going to host all our stuff in YouTube, and I'll do it as unlisted. So that way it's just private. So I made my sister a video one day, and it was about a program called Raindrop.io. It's a bookmarking program, a great program, by the way. And I forgot to make it unlisted. I made it public. So fast forward, I'm doing all the website stuff, trying to find a better way to do SEO. And I go to YouTube, and all of a sudden I see one of my videos is like 3,000 views. And I went, whoa, how did that happen? Because up till now, everything was like 3, you know, because it was all unlisted. And that's when I went, video is the answer. And what was crazy was I took that Raindrop.io and I went ahead and I typed it into Google, and I found my video was on the first page of Google, and I wasn't even trying. So then I went, maybe if I take this and actually apply some knowledge and learn some things, I could really, you know, use this as a shortcut. And that sort of is sort of the story of how I got here. Is, to me, it's the power of video can like leapfrog you into Google. And if you think about it, YouTube is owned by Google. So it's like, if you do well on YouTube, you automatically do well on the Google search. And then of course, learning that video is more than YouTube. It's about having a great explainer on your website. It's about having social media videos. It's about having videos that go in your emails. kind of learning that you can use videos in so many different ways. So that's my journey.
Yeah, I think YouTube's the second biggest search engine, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the one, and that's no surprise, is it? Because Google own it. So there you go. Like you say, if you're going to do well on YouTube, it goes hand in hand with Google. It's interesting that you mentioned SEO and bringing all that up, and how much of a minefield that can actually be. And I was just thinking while you were talking and relating it to almost, if you go and see a doctor or you've got something wrong with you, then your first port of call is maybe a doctor who doesn't specialize in one particular thing. They, they're more broad than they are deep in terms of their knowledge, but an expert nonetheless in the field of medicine. And if something is an issue, or there's a specific area that's an issue, you go and see a specialist. They refer you to a specialist.
Absolutely.
Similarly to your SEO. So you start quite broad. You look at the basic things. How fast is your website? Are your images compressed enough so that they're not slowing it down? Have you got the keywords there? And that's your basic package. But then, like you perfectly said, you can either go really deep into that and probably spend your whole life doing that, or you speak to the expert about particular areas.
Exactly. And again, Google is always changing the algorithm. So and that's what I found was the hardest, was to stay on top of, you finally get it. Okay, I understand SEO. And then somebody says, oh no, it's all changed. Now you have to have really long articles, or you have to do this and you have to do that. And you're just like, okay, I'm following all these people, and it was like, Moe's and Whiteboard Fridays and Neil Patel and like all these fabulous people. My favorite is Brian Dean. My favorite is Backlinko's Brian Dean.
Yes.
I'm not worthy to be like, he is so awesome. And he's actually, I'll tell you a really neat thing. If you comment on his stuff, he actually comments back.
Cool.
He's that human still, which is nice. Sorry, I have a barking dog.
That's okay. That's absolutely fine. We're live, so that highlights the fact that we're live. And who doesn't love a barking dog in the background of a podcast anyway?
And he's a dachshund, so he's really cute.
Oh, excellent. Love it. Absolutely love it. Love Backlinko, and that kind of similarly to what you do. You look at his stuff. You look at what you should do in 2020 in terms of SEO, and it's so simple the way he puts it. It's detailed, but it's so simple. You think, well, I can do that. And then you start reading it and you think, I can do it, but it's going to take me quite a while. It's probably going to take me till 2021 if I'm going to apply all this, but he keeps it simple.
Exactly. And with SEO, it was like when I started getting products like SEMrush and Screaming Frog, which is like Screaming Frog actually has a free version and you can run your website through it. But the problem is that when you run your website through it and you see everything that's wrong, it will make you sick to your stomach. And that's when you go, I think I need to get somebody that's good with the technical part. And the technical part, those guys, they earn their money, because the technical part of SEO is really bad. And I've actually seen, and I will not name names, but I have seen SEO experts with bad websites and they can't even keep on top of it. So it's kind of like a really hard thing.
Yeah, sure. I completely get that. If anybody is thinking about getting into SEO or looking at their own website, just to reiterate what Gillian said there, and a word of warning, if you do run some kind of test on your site, and it's quite a comprehensive test, don't be scared if there's loads of issues that come up, because they just will be. And don't think you have to fix them then and there, one by one, step by step, and it gets better and better. So Gillian, I want to move into our actionable tips kind of area and take you back to what you were talking about before, and that is marketing. And what I'd like to go through with you today is the key things that people need to know before they jump on the video marketing bandwagon, if that's okay.
Okay. So the first thing that I always tell everybody when you're starting with video is that you have to have a roadmap. You have to have a plan. Sort of like when you're working with Legos, you've got to have that, that master builder plan of what you're making. And it's the same thing with videos. You don't just start making a video of you kind of yakking about things and throw it up. That's not what people need. And you have to always think your videos have to have a purpose. You're making them for a specific reason. And what I always tell people is begin with yourself. Think about your business and think about that whole customer journey. And I hate the customer journey, but it's really valid, that it's like there's the awareness, and then there's the consideration, and then there's the conversion, and then there's the loyalty. And you have to think about your business, and you have to say, where is my business struggling? So you might say, my problem is awareness. And for most of us, that's what it is. And most people say, if I could just get people to my website, I got a really good thing. I got great prices. I know how to do it. I can sell it. It's getting the people to my page. That's the important thing. Well, then that's an awareness issue. So don't worry with doing conversion videos at this point, because it's about getting in front of the right people. So you have to shift your focus to where your business is struggling. Maybe you get tons and tons of traffic to your website, but nobody's buying your thing. Then you've got a conversion issue. So at that point, I would recommend a different kind of video. So each video is going to be different depending upon your business struggle and where you're at in the customer journey with those people.
Okay, that makes perfect sense to me. And I'm doing a little piece on customer journeys at the moment, doing a bit of research into it and looking at some kind of model or something to, weirdly enough, keep it simple and make it so that people can, maybe a one page, apply it and just write down what their customer journey is. Because what I teach in some classes, we start to talk at quite a high level at some customer journeys, and it starts to blow people's minds, and you can see it because we usually whiteboard it, and they'll start like, oh yeah, Facebook, that's where we get attention. Oh, we also do a bit on Twitter, yeah. And some people search for us on Google, right? Okay, and then they land on our website, yeah. But then they might come off there and speak to some, and you're like, yeah, you're just going to end up with loads of lines here, and it's going to be an absolute nightmare. So you do need to think about that, and I love the fact that you can utilize videos at different elements of that customer journey, but they're different.
They're absolutely different. And for instance, like if you were at the consideration stage, then if you think about the customer, if I'm trying to consider what kind of car I want to buy, where am I going to go? I'm going to go to a search engine. So that's when I'm going to go to Google. That's when I'm going to go to YouTube. And so you then want to optimize your videos to be in the right platform that you're going to come up searching. Nobody's going to find you on Facebook. That's not where we're going to go when we're at the consideration phase. And so that's when, and how you would make a video for YouTube versus how you would make a video for LinkedIn, totally different. And you want to make sure that, like YouTube, you got to use the search words. Like you can optimize your videos on YouTube just like you can optimize your blog posts, using Yoast or something like that on your website. So you want to do that kind of thing as well. So like you said, different types of videos made differently, organized differently, and placed differently, either in your website, Google search, not Google search, YouTube, Facebook, social media.
Yeah, absolutely. So where's the best place to start with all this then? We spoke about the customer journey and the various touch points along that in terms of different videos for different points, but where the hell do we actually start?
I always suggest that people start at the beginning. Start with what's easiest. Don't go and, run off and do a $5,000 explainer video or, a documentary on the founding of your company or something like that. Start off baby steps. And for the most part, most of us, not all of us, but I'd say like 80% of the people, it's about awareness. It's usually that customer, we don't have enough eyes on us. And so I would say if you're in the awareness stage, brand awareness, you want people to know about your company, what you want to do is you want to be on social media. So that's where I tell everybody to start, because social media videos are actually the easiest. You don't need to outsource those. Those are truly do it yourself. You don't need a lot of equipment. And I suggest you start with one platform. The worst thing that I see is people saying, oh, I do these for Twitter, and I do these for YouTube, and I do these for LinkedIn, and it doesn't work. And it's like, well, because you're splitting your focus. And you know, as a marketer yourself, that it's like, you must do one thing, have a plan, be consistent, and stick with it. So I always tell people, pick one platform and own it. Like, you know that platform in and out. And I think you're probably going to ask me, how do you choose that platform?
Oh,
and
yes.
the way that you choose the platform is two things. Number one, where is your ideal customer hanging out? And backtrack, if you don't know who your ideal customer is, you're not ready to make videos, because you must know who is the audience. Who are you making a video for? You know, like Walt Disney, when they made Jungle Book, they're making it for kids, adults too, but they knew this was a cartoon for kids. And so they made it that way. We have to do the same thing with our marketing. We're not marketing to everybody. We got to niche it down. Who is it? I'm doing small business owners. I don't want Pepsi to call me. I want, you know, Joe the coach to call me. That's who I want to call me, or an author or something along those lines. So you have to know who is my customer. Then you have to say, where are they hanging out in the frame of reference of when they would be looking for you. So it's like, yes, your customers might be on Pinterest, but if they're not on Pinterest going to buy marketing, why do I want to be on Pinterest? It doesn't make any sense. So I market to small businesses. Where are small businesses? They're on LinkedIn. So that's where my focus is, LinkedIn. So the first thing is, where are your customers? Then the second thing is, where do you like to be? So I know of someone who, they know their customers are on LinkedIn, but they don't like LinkedIn. They hate LinkedIn. They get on LinkedIn and go, it's too businessy. They just don't care for it. She is going to go on Pinterest because she's going to try and capture them. It kind of works for what she's doing. She's in a women's only business, and she can kind of do that segue. So even though LinkedIn would be good for her, if she doesn't like LinkedIn, it's not her place. So those are the two things that I say, picking your platform, customer, and then where do you like to be, and then totally own it and learn the rules, because every social media platform is totally different.
And for those people that think they know their customer, there's a neat little thing to do. And I cannot remember where I heard this. It's bound to be on a different podcast. But if you're ever teaching this type of stuff, ask people what their favorite film, movie, something that people know or understand inside out, and then say, okay, write down who that main character is. Write down his what he likes, what she likes, what they like doing, etc., like the ins and outs of them. Get them to describe it to a group, and then say, okay, scrap that. Tell me who your ideal customer is. And then it's, so you're telling me, you know, your favorite TV character better than you do your customers. We've got problems.
Yep. And it's absolutely true. And it's funny. My ideal customer, I actually have a name for him. He shows up in like all of my stuff. He's called Bob. He's this little guy. And I literally was watching the movie, What About Bob? With Bill Murray, and it's like baby steps. And it was just like, okay, that's kind of my customer, Bob, And so you're right. I love the visual, and you do need to have that visual so that every time you write to them, send an email to them, write a blog post, you're talking to Bob. You're talking to that one guy or gal.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Big up to Bob. So, okay, we know the platform. We've got our ideal customer in mind. What equipment do I need to create my videos? Because it's all well and good knowing where I need to go, but if I don't know or how to produce it, I'm a bit scuppered. So what do I need?
Okay, so you have a choice. You can do your videos for social media. I truly think like talking head videos are good. So it's good to have your face because people get to know, like, and trust you. So you want to have, and you want short videos for social media. You can do videos for 10 minutes on LinkedIn, but nobody's watching a video. Remember the goldfish? It's like attention span. So, you know, you really want to do 2 minutes or less. You really don't want your videos to be very long on LinkedIn. So I'm going to just use LinkedIn because that's where I'm at. And what I would suggest for Instagram, and I don't use Instagram. I'm not an IGer, but Facebook is different. So I'm just going to focus on LinkedIn. So for instance, a LinkedIn video, you would want, you know, your picture, you want it short. So equipment wise, what you want to do is you can use, if you're a computer person, use a program called Loom, Loom. It is a free program. They also have a premium package, which is like extremely reasonable. It's like $8 a month. It's so cheap. And with Loom, you can make a webcam video. So sort of like what we're doing here in Zoom right now. You can also do a screen share video, and it has like a little circle of you in it, or just the screen. So you got 3 choices. So it's kind of really, really versatile, but you can start with the free program and you can make videos using that. And that's great. And what I really like about Loom is they have a built-in editor. So you can actually make your videos, you can trim them, and then you can download them. So I think that's pretty cool for not paying anything. So on a computer, I recommend using Loom. It is Chrome, so you have to be able to use Chrome. It's got a Chrome extension, but it works Windows and Mac, so that's a good one. Now, if you have an iPhone, there's also one for an Android, but I'm a Mac person, so I have an iPhone. So there's a program called Clips. It's free. It comes with your iPhone. This is the best program in the world to use for 2 reasons. Number one, Siri's built in. So when you do a video with your iPhone using Clips, it takes your words and makes captions for you, so you don't have to type those captions. And that's very, very important for social media video. Got to have those captions. And you can edit them. So it's like she records what you're saying, turns them into captions that you can now edit because she spelt your name wrong all the way through it. And you've got a wonderful video that's captioned, and it's square. It makes a square video. And that's actually what you always want to try to do if possible, is have a square video, because it looks good on desktop and it looks good on mobile. And nowadays, lots and lots of people are using their mobile devices to watch videos. You never want to do vertical videos because they look awful on desktop. You get those bars, they're horrid.
Yeah, I completely agree. There's another one called Quick, but that's an online platform where you upload the video and it transcribes it for you as well. But that's paid for, where Clips, I use Clips as well. Yeah, it's free, and it's brilliant, straight on the iPhone as well, which is absolutely superb. So do you do most of your recording on a phone or a webcam, or?
Pretty much I do everything. So I do everything on my computer because I'm a real computer person. If I'm doing a short little social media video, I would use my phone, and I love Clips because it just makes it so quick and so easy. So if I'm just going to kind of like pop in and give you like a tip of the day or something like that, I would use my iPhone for that. If I'm going to do, I do a lot of YouTube tutorials. And so if I do that, I like to use Loom because I love the circle. Because I found that people don't engage with just a screen share. They're, you know, goldfish again. They don't have an attention span. So if I have the little circle and I'm chatting, you know, and I'm talking them through it, they feel a little bit more comfortable. So I like using Loom for that. Now, if you're going to do videos a lot on the computer and you really want to, you know, kick it up a little bit, then you might want to get an editor program. And even though Loom does have a built-in editor, you can do some fancier stuff with Camtasia. And that's my editor of choice. Now, the other thing for equipment is you need to have a microphone. And a lot of people don't do that. And you could be in a room that's very echoey, and get a lot of feedback. There could be a lot of noise of your dog whining like my dog's doing today, or, you know, constructions outside your house. And people will, they don't care what your video looks like, but they do care what your video sounds like. So if you have bad sound, this is not good. So I recommend having a USB microphone. I like the Blue Yeti. That's my favorite one. Didn't fit in my suitcase to come to Israel, so I don't have that. But I have my earpods, and they just, you know, they're just the Apple ones. You could have the headset, $20, get it on Amazon, 20 pounds. Get it on Amazon, not a big deal, but you should have a microphone. For an iPhone, I recommend the lavalier mic, which is just a little clip-on mic that you can get, and you get the little dongle to go with it so that you can put it into your iPhone. But that's what I recommend for the mic. And then the last thing probably is lighting. And for the most part, I tell people, you can go down a rabbit hole and spend a lot of money on lighting. I recommend if you need lighting, you know, first of all, just grab a lamp and put it near you. If you're doing stuff with an iPhone, face the window and you get a ton of natural light comes in. Go outside, you know, that's a great thing too. But if you get one of these like little ring lights and they just clip on your phone or clip on your laptop, those are awesome. There you go. There you go. They're not that expensive. They're not that expensive. And you can even get little baby ones and they're like, you know, $10, $15. They're not a big investment.
Yeah, absolutely. And the mic I'm using at the moment is I always get this wrong, Q2U mic. It's a Samsung mic, and it's never let me down. Really, really good mic. Yeah, fantastic. But also got, just to show that, a pop filter on it as well. Need a pop filter massively, unless you'll start recording and then all you hear is "buh" and "puzz" everywhere. So my two little penneth worth. So we've gone into quite a bit of detail there in terms of the software and equipment that you'd actually need, which is fantastic. If we look at it from a broader perspective, then, so we've got all this equipment, we're ready to start making videos. We know roughly where we're going to do this in the customer journey and who our customer is. How do you develop a bigger, wider strategy when you're looking at it from a bigger perspective?
Okay, well, I would say focus in on the little bit first. So every single video that you make, you should always figure out what is the goal. Like, why do I want to make that particular video?
Yeah.
Is there going to be a call to action? There's not always a call to action on social media. It's not always about selling your stuff. Sometimes it's, you know, I would actually say the majority of time you're not trying to sell your stuff. You're just going to put out some goodness in the world, some happy marketing, like you say, of just teachable things, adding value to people's lives, having people know, like, and trust you. Sometimes that's just the biggest thing. But you should have a call to action, which might be link in with me, you know, connect with me on LinkedIn, or, hey, put a comment below. You know, you want them to do something. Tell them, because people don't assume anything. So you must tell them. So now pulling back, overall strategy, I again would say, what is the problem with my business? Or if I was a marketer trying to help another business, and figure out what are all the different things that you're having problems with and how can video solve that problem? And then you make a roadmap and then you make a plan. And again, like I said before, you must be consistent. You must give it time. And sometimes you got to outsource stuff. You know, if you want an explainer video, I'll give you another great tool. Powtoon is an excellent program, but it's really, really expensive. And so that's a situation where you might say, okay, I can learn all this. I can spend the money to get this tool. And yes, you can learn to do it yourself, but is that a good use of your time? So that's when you might want to outsource and say, I'd like a cool little explainer video. Maybe it's easier for me to spend, you know, $400 and have somebody else do it for me. And then I move on and do something else. So again, figuring out what can you do and what can you not do on your own.
That's excellent. So one part that I just want to cover very briefly, and we'll mention it at the end, and links will be in the show notes, is that because you do easy peasy marketing and you hold people's hands through everything you do, I think one thing you've got coming up is some kind of video challenge.
Yes.
So
Yes.
tell me about that.
Okay, but I wanted to say one thing before, because I missed out on the social media video, and I want to make sure that I don't miss this. The importance of captions is huge, and you must always remember that, and this is probably the biggest thing I see people get wrong, besides the narrow videos, which are horrible. I'll just go right past those. But if you don't have captions, people don't know what you're talking about. And the default with most of the social media things, most social media programs, is that the sound is off. And just because you tell people, turn your sound on, they're not, because you don't know where they're going to be. And so you have to have those captions. And chances are they're never going to turn the sound on. They're just going to read those captions. So they have to make sense. There's a couple of places where, if you're not using clips, that you can have those captions done for you. Temi is one. I know a lot of people go to rev.com, but it can get expensive and it takes too long. So there's a program I like called Temi. It is, right now it's 10 cents a minute, but it's going up to 25 cents in March. And it is 25 cents a minute to have to get an SRT file, which is what you get with the captions. And it automatically transcribe it. So you upload your video, it will go ahead and, do those captions for you. You can edit them, make them perfect, and then you can download an SRT file. So if you have a 2-minute video and you're spending, 25 cents a minute, that's 50 cents. That is not going to break the bank. And yet, if you were trying to create an SRT file by yourself, oh, good luck with that. That's tough. That's tough. So captions are so important. So now I'll go to the video challenge. So a lot of people have come up and asked me, okay, how can I do video? And we decided, let's just do something that would make a big group. And so that we're not doing independent little, studies. And what we wanted to do was a 10-day challenge. We chose 10 days because 5 days is too intense. People are busy. So you want to do something where you can learn in easy peasy little baby steps and just do a little bit each day for 10 days. And we're going to take the weekend off. So it's just over the course of 10 days. What we're going to do is we're going to teach people how to do a video for LinkedIn, so a social media, in the newsfeed video from start to finish. So it will be the video strategy. What do you want to accomplish? We're going to go through, we have templates, a PDF template editable that you can use over and over again. We're going to teach you how to record it, how to edit it, how to put the captions on, and then how to kind of step it up a little bit and make it even more professional with a title at the top, put your captions at the bottom, make it square. And we're going to walk you through 3 different programs you can use that don't cost anything to get started. And that's 10 days. And we're going to do it in a Facebook group so that we take it out of LinkedIn. So it's a private space. Because the worst thing I ever see is when people say, oh, just stick a video up there on LinkedIn. And you're just like, oh, why did that guy do that? That's terrible. And yes, it's good for us to get out of our comfort zone. But I think it's better if you have somebody who will hold your hand and kind of say, okay, don't do this, but do this, and give you a plan. And actually teach you, how do you upload a video? How do you put in an SRT file? What do you do with all that stuff? We don't all know it. And there's this assumption that we're supposed to all know this. We don't know this. And so that's what our challenge is about.
And where can people find that? And a link will be in the show notes, obviously.
Okay, so just go to our website, which is launch4life.com, and then it's going to be / and then it's VLIC. So it's Video LinkedIn Challenge, but we made it short, VLIC, so you don't have to take too much.
Fantastic. Speaking of short, are you ready for some quickfire questions?
Absolutely.
Excellent. What's that source of info you can't live without?
Google. Google. I am a Google nerd. It's my go-to for every single thing in the world. And the worst thing is I bookmark everything I'm going to read that later. I'm going to read that later. So I could be like, the world could disappear. And as long as I could go and read all my stuff on Google, I'd be so happy. So I'm a reading nerd. I love Google.
Cool. Nice segue to the next question. What was the last thing you Googled?
MailChimp. It was all about how to do tags and segment an audience in MailChimp, and how to send your one list to these people but not these people. And it was just like, oh, it hurt my head. But I learned it through YouTube, through Google and YouTube. So got it.
That's the most important thing. If you could tell your 10-year-old self one thing, what would it be?
That's kind of near and dear to my heart. Okay, so I grew up in Toronto, Canada. By the way, I have 4 citizenships. So I'm a Canadian, American, British. I'm actually British, Israeli. So I have 4 citizenships.
Okay, cool.
But anyways, I grew up in Canada. I grew up in Toronto. And when I was 10, I got to go visit my sister, who is now my business partner. I got to go visit her in Los Angeles, California. And when I got to Los Angeles, I had this dream as a little girl. I wanted to be an actress. And so, of course, when I went to Hollywood, I was waiting to get discovered, and nobody discovered me. And, I was so sad, because I thought all I had to do was get there, and I could do it. I wanted to be a movie star, and I wanted to be in films. So what I would tell my 10-year-old self is that it's going to happen, but it's going to happen for you in a way that doesn't exist now. You have to wait, because YouTube didn't exist when I was 10 years old. All the stuff, we didn't have iPhones. We didn't have, cameras. The whole idea of having a video like what we're doing right now, Peter, was the Jetsons cartoon. It didn't exist. So I would tell my 10-year-old self, it's coming. It'll take a while. But if you want it bad enough, you'll get there, and you're going to live in a time that's so awesome that anybody in the world can start their own podcast, their own radio show, their own TV show, whatever. It's coming. And that's what I tell her.
That's cool. I like it. So what's the most important thing to know about marketing right now?
Probably that you have to have a plan. Marketing is not about doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that, throwing things up on the wall, see what sticks. It's like you must have a plan. So you always have to zoom out. What are my problems? What are the solutions to the problems? And then you have to integrate it. So, for instance, with a website, it might be that you need to have a way to make people stay on the page, because your problem is people come and bounce. Maybe you got to change your marketing message. Maybe you got a crappy opt-in thing. Nobody wants it, So you have to figure out, what are your problems? How do you solve them? What's the plan? And then you must do it using the building blocks, one step at a time. And you can't do everything at once, and set those priorities and just do it one step at a time, and then evaluate. Are we doing better? If you got a newsletter, evaluate your newsletter. Are people opening them? Are they clicking? Are they going to the right place? And give things time. That's the worst thing, is people say, I tried LinkedIn for 2 days. No leads. And it's like, well, it's because you weren't doing it right.
Yeah, I went to the gym for 2 days. Still haven't got the abs. I don't know what's going on.
And really, isn't marketing kind of like being like, if you wanted to have a healthier lifestyle, it wouldn't be just working out. It would be eating better, sleeping better, working, exercising, drinking water. It would be many, many components, and you would have to have a plan. Marketing is no different. It's no different.
I'm so glad you said lifestyle and not diet, because I think
it's not about that. It's never
perfect analogy. Yeah, perfect analogy. Don't ever diet. You want to change your life.
Yep.
It's a lifestyle change that you have to make in your mind and then actually implement it. Same with marketing. It's an actual lifestyle that you need to look at it holistically rather than the individual components. Absolutely. So Gillian, final question, most important one. If people want to find you, where should they go? Plus, can you give us that amazing link to the video challenge that you're going to do?
Certainly. So if you, first of all, always go to my website, which is launch4life.com. The next thing is connect with me on LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn. LinkedIn is kind of new to me because it's like I wasn't doing a lot of social media. So like I've only kind of been getting in there the last couple of months. And LinkedIn is a fun place. To me, it's like an introvert's dream. It's like going to like a cocktail party, and you get to kind of hop in and listen to conversations and, oh, do I like this? Do I like that? So join me on LinkedIn. I'm just Gillian Whitney. It's Gillian with a G because it's British. So Gillian Whitney is my URL, and everybody should have a personal URL on LinkedIn, by the way. It's a good marketing tip. You can email me, Gillian with the G, Gillian@launch4life.com, or visit my website. And I don't really do a lot on any of the other social medias except Facebook, but that's pretty much personal. So I usually keep that just for friends and family.
Okay, cool. Finally, the video LinkedIn challenge that you were talking about, that URL was, and correct me if I'm wrong, launch4life.com/VLIC.
That's it.
Boom.
Easy peasy.
Perfect. Gillian, thank you.
And you can find us on YouTube. I have tons and tons and tons of marketing tutorials on YouTube. They're all free, cover all sorts of stuff. They're all easy peasy, everything to do with video, online marketing, social media. We have all sorts of different things. We do not have a personal URL yet. You have to have 100 subscribers. So we're working on it. We're like at 85 or something like that. And so go to YouTube and just search Launch4Life, and you'll find my channel, and there's tons and tons of stuff out there. So a great way to learn marketing for free.
Superb. Gillian, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you. Happy to be here.